The Justice Department is moving to abandon federal oversight of police departments in Louisville and Minneapolis, major cities involved in police reform deals in the wake of two high-profile police killings. The agreements, which are known as consent decrees, were implemented by the Biden Justice Department after it said it found a pattern of excessive force and discriminatory practices. The 2020 killings of George Floyd in Minneapolis and Breonna Taylor in Louisville, both at the hands of white police officers, spurred these investigations and also the reform efforts that followed. But the Trump Justice Department is now arguing that those reforms aren't in the public interest. The Justice Department's Civil Rights Division is also closing investigations into a half dozen other police departments around the country, as you can see here highlighted. My next source is the Minneapolis Mayor, Jacob Frey, and it's great to have you here, sir. How does your city plan to respond to this announcement from the Justice Department today?
Minneapolis is serious about our commitment to police reform, even if the President of the United States is not. The bottom line is, regardless of what the White House does here, we are moving forward with these necessary reforms anyway. We've been doing the work, and just yesterday we got a report from an independent evaluator showing that Minneapolis was making more progress towards these reforms than virtually any city in the country under a consent decree. So Donald Trump can do whatever he wants, but the bottom line is, in Minneapolis, we're going to do the right thing. We've had people calling for years for this necessary police reform, and we're going to make sure it gets done for the sake of our city.
Okay, so you're still going to implement them anyway. What we heard in terms of the argument from the DOJ, including from Harmeet Dillon, she's the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, basically argued that these deals meant that local police were micromanaged and that complying with them had the price tag of potentially millions of dollars. Does she have a point at all with any of that?
No, she doesn't have a point. This is not about micromanaging police. It's about making sure that our police are complying with the law and that every interaction that they have on the street, they're treating people with dignity and respect. This is about making the policy shifts, making sure that police understand what those policy shifts are. It's about training, accountability, and then ultimately how people feel about the interaction they're having with the police force on the street. And by the way, we don't need to continue to fly to these opposite extremes here. The opposite of Donald Trump extremism is not the opposite extreme. We can have a police force that is properly funded, and simultaneously, we can make sure that we're doing the right reforms that people need to see, and by the way, that are long overdue.
And so what does this look like in terms of impact in your view? I mean, obviously you said you're going to continue with the reforms. What about an area that doesn't?
We already have a state settlement agreement that is in place. As I mentioned, we already had an independent evaluation come in yesterday, and they said we're doing the necessary work to see the progress that is so essential and is long overdue. And in all of the other areas that go beyond that state settlement agreement that are part of this consent decree, we're going to do it anyway. We're going to make sure that we are evaluated, that everybody sees transparently, have we hit the mark or have we fallen short? And I'm certain that we will both hit the mark and we will fall short sometimes, but I think that's how you regain trust. That's how you build trust with people, is you show them, here's what we're doing, and you're honest about it where you haven't quite hit the mark.
We're just days away, and this is kind of hard to believe, from the 5-year anniversary of George Floyd's death. That'll be this Sunday. The administration has been arguing that what we're seeing today is not timed to that's not why, it's because of what's happening with court deadlines. I wonder, though, if you personally and your city are bracing for what some people on the far right are lobbying President Trump for right now, which is to pardon Derek Chauvin as he is serving this 22-year sentence for killing George Floyd.
Well, first off, give me a break. The Trump administration has had every opportunity to attempt to dismiss this consent decree in the months prior. They've had more than a few opportunities where they could have come forward and said, hey, you know what, we're not interested in going forward with a consent decree, we're going to dismiss it. They didn't do that. They asked for extension after extension, delay after delay, and of course, it's pure political theater, because that's all that Donald Trump cares about, that they would, of course, try to dismiss the same week as the 5th anniversary of George Floyd's murder. Now, I can't predict what he's going to do with regard to Derek Chauvin, but we do know that all Donald Trump cares about is political theater, and it would be exactly that, because if Derek Chauvin was pardoned, The only thing that would change is which prison he's located in. He'd be moved from a federal prison to a state prison to continue out the sentence that he has under state law. So I can't predict exactly what he's going to do. Trump, I don't think anybody can predict it. But here's the thing, doing something like that would be completely performative, just like the attempted dismissal of this consent
What message do you think it would send, though, if he did?
Well, the message that he's apparently trying to send is that he will back police and doesn't care about holding them accountable to the law. Well, here's the thing. I support police officers. It's an honorable profession, but it is more honorable and more professional when they are doing their job and abiding by the Constitution at the same time. Again, the opposite of Donald Trump extremism is not the opposite extreme. We can do things well and thoughtfully here in Minneapolis. And I don't know, all this garbage that Donald Trump is pumping out as quick as he possibly can, we don't need to succumb to it. We don't need to succumb to that kind of chaos. The message that we've got to our residents is we're going to do right by them. We're going to make sure we're implementing the necessary reforms, and we're going to get the job done whether or not the White House is on board.
Mayor Jacob Frey, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you for having me.